I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Deborah Bailey. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
Doing great actually, but I just wish the days were longer.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
getting dark early and I just want more sunlight.
Yeah, same here. It's the same here. It's the same here. What part of the world are you in right now?
I'm in New Jersey
All right,
in
all
the
right,
US,
all
so
right.
yeah.
Cool. Well, please tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time.
Well, I think my talent as a podcaster and writer, because we connected on LinkedIn. So I'm guessing that's what you saw that you wanted to reach out, and I'm really glad you did because I thought this was such a great idea and so original and such a wonderful way to meet people. So
Yeah, it definitely is an amazing way to meet people. I believe the conversation I listened to on your podcast was with a woman that I had on my podcast, like last year, right? And I didn't get to go into depth that you did with the
hmm
conversation. Her name slips me right now.
hmm
What was the last conversation? Can you remember her name? Because you laughed.
Um,
She spoke about how you laughed and your laugh is contagious.
oh, oh my goodness! As soon as you said that, it just disappeared. I know exactly who you mean because I just posted that.
Yeah,
I
she's
think that was
amazing.
Hillary. Hillary.
Hillary.
Yes,
Yeah.
Hillary Jastrom, I believe.
Yes, she has a funny last name.
Yeah. That was a great conversation. It turned
Yeah, for sure. Like, I thought you guys wouldn't end because it was just, it was explosive, to be honest, in terms of how you gelled in that conversation. Pretty amazing stuff. So tell us about your podcast. Tell us the name of your podcast and what you do there, please.
Oh, it's Women Entrepreneurs Radio, and I started it 9 years ago this month. And it just really started as a way for me to connect with other women entrepreneurs because I hadn't really seen a lot of others at that time that weren't celebrities or people in the news. I said, well, I know there's other people out here doing things, and this was really on the cusp before social media blew up. So it wasn't as easy to find who else is out here besides me
Hmm.
doing this or doing your own thing. So that's when I just started, reached out to some people on the platform I was on at that time and figured it would last for a few weeks, and then here I am.
Hmm.
Still
Wow.
going. So
Well, firstly, let me say congratulations on almost a decade. I am honored to have this conversation with you, being the person that you are in terms of what value you bring to the community.
well, thank you very much for that. Actually, I appreciate it, and I certainly can return the same to you because I think what you're doing is just so terrific to reach out and chat with people and highlight them for a short amount of time. You really get to the point that way. So I
Yeah,
like this idea.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. So, we've just exchanged our thanks, and if you listen to her podcast, you'll realize that is what she is very good at, exchanging value in conversation. So, tell us, who did you learn that from?
Wow. I would say probably from my mom, because she was that type of person who would just say hello to people in the street, and the work that she did in the years she worked with young people, and then she also worked with senior citizens in her last position, and she was always so personable and always ready to learn and meet people, and I think I got a lot of that from her as well. But I think I'm more of an introvert than she was.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so it's kind of safe to be in my space and then talk to people
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
being in a crowd because sometimes it's very draining. I kind of like it, but then times I like my own space.
Yeah, which is cool. I'm very
Mhm.
similar. Not that me being similar makes it cool Well, it does for me, but
It does. It's cool for all of us who are,
yeah, who
just like
we
to
are.
have that quiet time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, definitely being who you are, as you said, can be draining sometimes, but nevertheless, you've decided to step out in an amazing way where some others would say, no, I'm not doing that. But as an introvert, you've actually done it, and you've done it for multiple years. Why will you continue?
That's a good question. I was thinking a couple of times of saying, well, maybe I shouldn't go on because it's become more that you have to do. Like when I started in Blog Talk Radio, you would just pick up a phone. But now, I'm editing and I'm doing different things and it's more labor intensive. But I realized that I'm meeting people from all over the world who I probably would not meet this way, unless you're actually traveling and doing a lot of different things like that, and making connections and learning from them and helping to share what they do with other people. So I say, hey, as long as I can continue to do this or feel that I'm adding value, why not continue?
Love
Hmm.
it. Yeah, something just jumped out in my mind, and it's something that I've said a couple of times in meetings, and I remember the look on people's faces, like, "Ooh, what are you talking about?" And it's to the point of intangibles and the value
Hmm.
that they carry and how we measure them. I remember in Dave Ramsey's organization when I went there for entrepreneurship, he showed us a page of how they run their business and how they measure intangibles. And I think just the idea that you're measuring intangibles speaks to an organization and who they are and what they are achieving. But I think I said all of that to say, I believe it would be really good for us to start making a list of the intangibles that will
Hmm.
keep us going and then start
Yes.
looking to them. Makes sense, right?
Hmm.
I'm going
I
to do it.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, because a lot of times we don't really value those things as much as we should.
Yeah, it's like, all right, this is moving my account. No, it's not. Cut it.
Yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
truth is, you're changing lives. Like, I'm in Trinidad speaking to you, Deborah. And I mean, like, I listen to the podcast. It's amazing the conversation that you bring specifically for women geared
Hmm.
in terms of the conversation. But hey, I was a guy and I got in there and I got a lot of information. So, yeah, keep doing
That's
what you're
great.
doing, my friend. Keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you. That's great. And yeah, this is an example of what you're saying, I mean, I would love to probably be in Trinidad right now instead of in 40-degree weather. I love to be somewhere nice and warm, but until that can happen, the conversations like this, I think, are wonderful.
Well, I'll tell you a secret. What I've learned is where your voice goes, usually you follow.
Okay. So my world trip is coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited now.
That's great. That's good. Tell me one other thing, Deborah, you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
I would say consistently is right.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is I'm also a published author, but I published my first book in 2010. I've always been a writer, and I wanted to publish, and as it turned out, the timing of self-publishing and technology changing as it has allowed me to be able to put my first book out, which was a nonfiction book, Think Like an Entrepreneur. And now I, have novels out, and I really feel like, okay, this is a part of my life that I want to continue, and I have goals and plans. But it's something I've had to consistently focus on. It's like it's its own business. Like you have to really take charge of that, and continue to put it out there. So I would say that really is the first thing that comes to mind.
How does it make you feel?
Excited and scared. It's
Yeah.
scary, you create something, as I'm sure you know, and then you put it out into the world, and then, you don't know what's going to come back at you after you do that.
Exactly. I
Right.
exactly. Suggest to someone who's out there listening why they should even take that first step to face their fears.
Because otherwise, if they feel frustrated about what they didn't do, that is even worse. People have regrets. They wish they'd taken this chance. They wish they'd done this one thing, and they don't because the fear holds them back. And it's just, you just think about, do you really want to have that regret later that may be making you bitter and angry because you feel that there was that thing that always nagged at you.
Hmm.
So, you know what it is inside, and it won't let you alone until you make some kind of decision.
Amazing audience. You're hearing it live with Deborah Bailey. Again, she is the podcast host of Women Entrepreneurs Radio, inspired by Deborah E. Bailey. Check that out. It's pretty amazing stuff. But Deborah, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Deborah, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Well, I thought about this before, and I was like, it's going to sound really probably odd, but my earliest memory was listening to President Kennedy on a transistor radio, which will tell you how old I am, or about thereabouts.
Wow. So how old were you then?
I have no idea.
Right.
I know I was too young to really know how old I was, and I have no idea what he was saying, but something about his voice, and maybe, who knows, my parents might put that in the bed to keep me quiet or something. I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember hearing the voice, and something about the voice was keeping me mesmerized. And I don't know. I wish I did, but I do remember that. I used to love having transistor radios, which is probably like, now people call that vintage. But for some reason, that's always stayed in my mind, and I don't know why. It's just so weird.
Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Okay.
All right. Well, first up, I'll tell you that. So on the night of this recording, it's so the first person I spoke to was Joe Rutland, and he's episode 1614. So you could definitely go back. Of course, Deborah would not know this because she is 1617, which is just 45 minutes away from that first conversation I had with him. But he actually expressed his earliest childhood memory as being one where he saw the outline of the image of John F. Kennedy when he was killed, right? And seeing the news there. And he actually said something that you said, that they always put us in front of the TV. It was the best babysitter, right? To hear you now express that they used the radio is absolutely fascinating. But to add to the interpretation, I love the idea, just like him, how you too now are communicating via the medium of radio waves. And the effects that has. We were speaking earlier about to know your voices in so many places. It's just fascinating how that connects, that you were affected by that in that way, and to know that you are that person now creating a scenario that people will be positively affected is fascinating.
You've left me a lot to think about. You have. Now I have to go listen to that other show as well. Yeah.
Sure.
Wow.
Well, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
I couldn't remember. I was like, well, what was going on then? But it may have been something from Motown, because I was crazy about them, and I was also always listening to the radio. I probably knew every song, but it's all like what year and exactly what, I honestly can't say.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it was probably some Motown.
Choose one song.
Reflections by the Supremes.
There we go.
That just popped into my head because it's one of my favorites of theirs. But I'm sure it was, because you had to be up on all the music. Well, I'm sure it's like now too. So
you're definitely the person who delves into reflections, right?
Yeah. Boy, you're connecting all the dots here. Wow.
All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it'll be yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to go pretty quickly here to wrap it up in 12. Are you ready, Deborah?
I'm ready.
Deborah, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
No.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Yes.
How about 3? Oh, yes, you said yes. What about screen time? The phone and or the computer. Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
I'm weaning myself on the 8 hours of the computer, and then I put on my TV afterward to decompress. How's that?
That works. Deborah, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
I would say stay open and keep learning.
Love it. Deborah Bailey, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I would just say this, just enjoy the moment that you're in. Be open to meeting people and hearing what they have to say and share with you, because that is what makes life so exciting. What we're doing right now, and what I do in my show, what you do in yours, it's amazing how it opens you up when you connect with other people.
Love it. Deborah Bailey, thank you for being on What is Inspired By 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.